Alrighty. Sit here with the black kitty. Yes. Just going through a few comments and whatnot, and noticed a few people mentioning a few things about me going back to 3 days a week and not wanting to go permanent and stuff like that. It appears things don't work the same in America as they do here. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Yeah. You're a pussy going back to 3 days a week. No. That's a pussy. Isn't it? No response? Okay. Nah, quite honestly, as a lot of you know, there's more stuff brewing. It was 3 days a week or just quit altogether. And I thought it'd be smarter to go 3 days a week. And when I was at the piggery, it was 3 days a week. You want to know the honest truth, I'm clearing 546 a week, doing 3 days a week. I don't need the money. You know, so that gives me a bit of a easier life where I can concentrate on other bits and pieces. Yeah. But you get benefits. You mean health benefits? No. See, America, in regards to its health system, lives in a little bubble that's coated with a mirror. Because meanwhile, in Germany, Canada, England, Australia, and a whole shitload of other countries, everyone's laughing their guts out of the American system. It is bizarre. It is ridiculous. And I believe it's proof today that there is propaganda at the level of what Hitler had, for those who still believe in the American healthcare system, because it's one of the biggest jokes in the Western world. And you don't need to worry about that sort of shit when you've got a good public healthcare system. Oh, we pay heaps. Nah. It works out we pay about 1/10 of what you guys do. Yeah, no shit. 1/10. My nan was on private health cover, and you can get it because we're a dual system. And see, the private system is kept honest by the fact that there's a public system, and if the private system was overpriced, in actual fact it's got price control laws on it, but if it was overpriced, people wouldn't bother with it anymore because you've still got a public system. And so long as the public system is there, the private system can't be overpriced. But you're talking about someone who technically died 5 times and they're paying $80 a month in insurance. That's it. You get better, a better hospital, all individual rooms and stuff like that. It's quite good. All individual en-suites for each room. The sort of hospitals that you would be probably fairly surprised to see if you're from the United States, and they're literally like that. 1 bed per room, a TV, an ensuite. That's the way it is. In the private ones. In the public ones, not that good. But, it might be 4 beds a room and no ensuite or something like that, no TVs. But this is the thing. You tell me what other benefits you get. 14 sick days a year? But then there's all the obligations. I was offered permanent when I was at the nursery. They come out with that much A4 sheets of paper. Like that. I mean, honestly, it was like 3.5 inches worth of paper as part of the contract I was signing. 3.5 inches of paper. You couldn't fucking believe it. And I honestly couldn't believe it when I saw it all. And well, you got to sign at like 15 different points. Fuck me, I bought a property and I signed at 22 different points. And you tell, well, I'm not 3/4 away buying a property here, I'm just getting a job. well, already had it, and this was what they wanted for permanent. And, looked at it all, and, yeah, well, my father likes doing the maths. I was $15 a year behind, or no, $50 a year behind. But you're obliged to work a certain amount of Sundays a month and a certain amount of Saturdays a month and blah, blah, blah. That's the thing. Same here, you go permanent here. There's cases where people drop $7 an hour, even $12 an hour less on permanent than on casual. I'm not fucking joking. Why would you bother? I don't have any dependents. I don't have any real needs to pay stuff real badly. And yes, we've got a welfare system. And yes, even though I'm on a 50-acre property, I'm eligible for welfare if I need to get it. The fact of the matter is, that there's very few benefits at all, really speaking, but there's a whole lot of extra obligations, and they always cut the shit out of your pay. Every frickin' time they cut your pay back fairly hard. And, all for what? 2 weeks of holidays, 2 weeks of sick days, and the joint I'm at now, I've got a bad feeling it may be barely even that. Now, people don't want to employ people that keep moving around. You're correct. In this country, that's the case. For mum and pop businesses, for family businesses, they don't like people that change jobs on a regular basis. However, the biggest market out there, due to unionisation and a lot of extra laws and a lot of extra bullshit, most employers now, and this is not a joke, a huge percentage of them just hire casual only. So when you fuck up, they can get you out straight away. And they're fearful of, unions banding together and stuff like that. So that's the way they deal with it. They hire everyone casual. There's also, no real obligation to, do things like pay maternity leave for 6 months and stuff like that. And it's all... a lot of the things, including worker injury insurance and everything, is taken care of by these labour hire companies. They just take care of all that shit, and your superannuation and all the baloney in the world. And they just make one fairly large weekly payment to this company, and, they click their fingers, they ring them up, they can have another person there in, literally 2 hours, and, yeah. And that's the way a lot of the country goes. And you hear people whinging and whining here, there's no full-time jobs out there, the world's going to the pack. No, but they're 40-hour-week casual jobs. That's the way this country's turned. And so, that's what I've been in and out of. Now, if you think that someone, not being at a place a long time is a trouble, for the bigger companies it's not at all. And... I went for a job interview once at one of these mum and pop companies, and I'll put it like this: there was the word Aussie in the name of the business, so it's a real mum and pop company when you go down there and you see mum and pop and there's the name Aussie in the business and stuff like that, and in the actual business name, and anyway, I went down there and I ended up becoming second in line, only because I hadn't, worked long periods for other places, because we want somebody who is going to stay with us for at least 5 years. Now, the person who got the job ahead of me was qualified in stuff involved in that industry, and I wasn't at all, and it's part of the reason why they got it. And the other person had demonstrated that they'd stayed at the same shit job for I think it was more like 10 years or something. They'd been at the previous job or some shit, I can't remember. And, it's good, and their qualification is also good, and bang, they got in front of me. I might have been second, maybe third on the list. But that's about the only case where it's ever really been a problem, because when I look at where I've been now, I've been there a year and a month. So 13 months I've been there. In that time, I have had 3 yard supervisors, 2 of who have come and gone, and now we're on to our 3rd one, and a manager who has, come a couple of years prior and has gone within the last month or 2. And I remember the first one who come back to visit us later, and he'd taken another job. I probably shouldn't be telling you this one. He'd taken another job, and it was literally double the hourly rate of the place that I'm working at now, that he was at as a yard supervisor. Now, in case you're wondering, yes, that's correct. It is very hard to then get yourself references, because most of these supervisors have moved on within 2 years every time. The previous manager, he'd been there for 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, and he's moved on yet again. And this is the thing, it's a country where some people spend years in a job, especially if they've got a lot of, wife and kids and a mortgage and all that. And other people, well, I'll put it like this, I don't call myself a trainer for nothing. There's people that come in there, and they're there for a month or 2, and they find a better job, and they're gone again. And this is the thing, people bunny hop from one job to the next, to the next, to the next. Plenty of them aren't at these jobs for any more than 6 months. And I got a tendency that either after a year I quit, or 2 years I quit. And for some people, that's actually a long time. It's the way the country works. The place continues to function very well, actually. And even during the GFC, we never actually went into a recession. Can you believe it? We went to 0.2% growth, but we never actually went to recession during the GFC. And one day, I suppose we need a damn good recession, because the last one was like 26 years ago. And well, I'd say we'd be overdue for one. But, rich Chinese are pumping a lot of money into real estate, and that's bolstering a lot of the economy. And when you look at the amount, money they make from the United States is something like 12-fold what they make from Australia. But the amount of money they've invested in Australia is something like 80% the amount that they've invested in America. You get what I'm saying? We've got an overwhelmingly high proportion of reinvestment from Chinese. And let's face it, the Chinese boss I had at the vineyard, he was one of those. He'd made his money over there, come over here, started dealing his main business is import-export consulting, and, had all these little investments and bits and bobs and things on the side, and the vineyard was one of them. And, So anyways, that's how it stands with the whole work situation in this country. It is rarer for people staying long term. Some people do, some people do, but a lot of people, they come and go. And when you go to Sydney, I've been told that by people who come from Sydney, that people are really fickle at leaving jobs in Sydney far more than they are in Melbourne. And it's all about the money. There's another friggin' $2 an hour higher, bang, they'll be there. They're just... With me, if I get used to a place and all that, of course, I'll stay. But there comes a point where I get sick to death of it. on a go. And you never worry. You get out of a job. If you get online, if you try and hit one of the capital cities, you'll have a job in a few days. Literally. 3-4 days. And that's what happened with me last time round. But you've sort of got to be very active if you want a job that quickly. But, you know, in all this, that's the capital city. It's not all towns and cities. Hell no. But if you're willing to go to the capital, there's lots of jobs, lots of money. Now, in that, it means I travel a very long distance. But it's one of these things. The good jobs on the good money that you can get quickly require you to drive a long way. The shit jobs on shit pay with hard bosses don't require me to drive as far, but then it's a shit job on shit pay. So you just bite the bullet and learn that you got to put in the big miles. And it's just one of those things that you got to do to, you know, get a good job and get one quickly. And so that's what I've done.